Welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda, and today I'm going to use my counterfeit kit challenge, which is also partly my how to kit a kit style. And I'm doing a new thing with a follower request Monday. So the first Monday of the month, if I have a request of something to do from a follower, I'm going to do that. So that layout that I showed you is I had a request on how to actually make the paper strips a little bit more in detail. So that is what I'm going to do. And I pulled out some pictures of my youngest wearing her cat ear headphones because why not? She's coloring and listening to music, which are great hobbies. And then I pulled a bit of things out that would match with these cats because we don't have cats and I very rarely scrapbook cats. So yeah, so it came out of a whole bunch of kit club. One was Dreamer something, one was Awesome Life, and one was Kaleidoscope. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Scrap-A-Sketch piece of paper, that's the purple one, that is from Pretty in Bloom collection, so I'll link that below. And I'm going to cut off the white edge on two sides, and then I'm going to cut it down to 11.5 square. And then that will be my bottom bit. And then this orange piece of paper is an old paper from Echo Park, and I'm going to use the orange stuff for the top bit. So cutting that down, I'm going to fold this in half and making sure that those corners are lined up pretty well. And I'm going to fold it a few times so I get a really good line to follow, because this does not fit in my trimmer like I'm going to show you right now. And I could have probably folded it in half and went through both sides if you really don't want to cut it with your scissors, but this was just as easy for me. So that's one bit. The other bit, I'm going to do the same thing, cut it to 11.5 square. And I did that because of what I had for taking up for space on my other one. And then for this one, I decided I wanted a little bit more of the black showing in between my strips. So I'm going to do this just slightly different, but I'll tell you exactly how so you can sort it out. So the one thing to pay attention to this is what corner you're needing. So you could do this the other two corners, but just making sure that if your paper has some directionality to it, so like you have hearts or something, that you know which way you're going. So because that could be a thing. So, and you're cutting the right diagonal for that top, because if you cut it the other way, it wouldn't work as well. So now I am going to measure, it's about 1.25 inches for the widths of these. So I'm going to measure these down a bit. And I'm like, this is not long enough for my ruler. I have a meter stick somewhere, and that would totally be easier to do, but I am gonna do another pencil mark, and then I can line the pencil marks up and make sure that's fairly straight. And I will cut this one by hand as well, and then the rest of them will be small enough to fit into my paper trimmer without a problem. And I'm doing this one first because that corner I want to line up for the top left hand corner and the bottom right hand corner properly. So that is one of the key spots that you need to be paying attention to. So this one goes here, and then the rest of them I'm going to take off 1/4 inch in between. I think that's about 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to cut them at 1.25 inches, and I'm just marking that for sure on my trimmer. You could cut this at 2 inches, you could cut them at 1 inch. It really doesn't matter the width that you cut them at, as long as they're the same, because you don't want different widths going. Well, you could have different widths, it would give a different look. If you want to have that symmetrical feel of your strips, then they all do need to be the same. So I want a little bit more black space in between, so that's why I'm cutting off that little bit. But because we cut the paper down already, you don't actually have to do this little bit I'm cutting off, but you can. So it just gives a little bit more space in between these strips. And then matching up my corners, and I'm going to make sure my paper is 12 by 12. And there's a little dot on that paper. I don't know where that came from, but you won't see it when it's done, so not a big deal. So just cutting off that itty bitty bit. Will it make a difference? Probably not, but sometimes they'll fit in my page protector a little bit longer, sometimes they don't. So I just want to make sure that they do. And so I'm going to put these in and space them out so I have that idea of what it looks like. Make sure I don't have to do anything different. I'm going to put this bottom one down, and then I'm going to line them up. So each of the edges should line up on like the upper or that left hand side, and the bottom should line up straight and should have about the same distance in between each of the strips. So I'm using my T-square to help me out with that. You could eyeball it too. If it's not perfect, is it really going to matter? Probably not. It's like everybody to each of their own preference. Mine's not absolutely perfect, and that's okay. So that is the last one of these ones. And this is the easy side, I think, to stick down because there's 5 strips there. And then the other side gets a few more strips because we're going to cut it the other way. So I'm just scuffing these up because that helps minimize how messy they can look. And then so I'm just double checking the width of that again because I should just write them down, but measure 7,000 times, cut once. So I'm going to draw I could have just drawn one of the lines here and it would have been fine. I only need one of the lines, so I don't know why I drew more than one. I was thinking that, actually do. I was thinking that width of the ruler would probably be similar to what I wanted. It's not quite, so I am still going to cut it the same width as the purple. I don't have to. So the other thing is I could totally leave it a different size. So I could have done them thinner, I could have done them thicker, it wouldn't have mattered. I wanted them about the same. I did cut 1/4 inch off of that one, and I will do that with all of these strips as well. So I just have a little bit more black in between these two. The first bit, I don't cut the 1/4 inch off, and you can see what it would look like had I just left it. So like there's just a little bit of black in between, and that's totally fine too. Just gives a little bit different feel to the layout, but totally doable. And then same thing with this. I'm cutting these all at 1 1/4 inches. That one didn't quite cut through, so I'm just going to use my scissors. And then that last one. And so it would just line up here with just a little bit here. And if I scuffed those up, it would have given the little bit of black that I needed in between, and I could have left it like that, but I did want just a bit more. So I'm just making sure that I cut the 1/4 inch off the same side each time because I want those lines to line up. I think one of them I didn't, and it ends up being a little bit longer of a piece. It looks a little bit longer because it lines up just a little bit differently because of where I cut it off, but it is okay. And this one, the triangle, I debated cutting it off or not cutting it off, and I decided, yeah, I might as well. And then you can see that gives quite a bit more black space in between, and that's okay. I wanted the black to pop out, And then this takes a little bit of thinking, and that's why I laid it out as I went, is because if I didn't, those end corners need to go on the right way, and if I don't, yeah, all good. So just trying to make sure this is lined up and straight-ish. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. And here in a second, you'll see which one is definitely longer than the rest. So these ones are all okay. Then just to make it easy, I'm moving it this way. So this one is, I think, the one that's quite a bit longer. And to get it to line up where I want it to line up, it's okay. My picture's actually going to go there, so had my picture not gone there, I would have just taken my ruler and my craft knife and cut that one off just a little bit to make it match, and not a big deal. But that is the background all done. So hopefully that helps out the follower who had questions about this. And now I'm going to speed it up just a little bit more because this is definitely a longer video. And I am going to start matting and embellishing and getting my photos on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to matte my photo in the orange and the purple. And I want my mattes, I'm going to decide to have my mattes so the purple is on the orange side and the orange is on the purple side to make this pop a bit more. So I'm just going to decide where I want this one to go. I'm going to mark it with pencil. I'm going to pull my picture up a bit, and then I'm just going to cut it off. So just like so. And then my purple one can go underneath. It doesn't matter if it's the whole thing, as long as I have the orange sticking out where I want it to be. So just lining up those two edges. And then I have this matte that contrasts the background. Same thing with this one. I'm going to do the orange and then the purple so that the purple and orange are overlapping their contrasting colors. And then this is going to overlap this picture, because why not? This is the same day. This one always still does, but needs music to sleep, needs a bit of background noise, and always has. Doesn't like the quiet too much. I think her brain has a hard time slowing down, so the music definitely helps occupy until she goes to sleep. So then I used the foam, like the fun foam, and I used the scrapbook.com adhesive because it's really sticky. And this is like a 4-inch roll, I think. And I have not had any problems with this coming off of the foam. Sometimes I add a little bit of glue too, but this has worked just fine. So I did pull out a bunch of cat stuff for what I could find for cats, because we don't have cats, and so cats are hard to use on a layout. So her having cat ears definitely helps that one out. That orange cat says above it, "Time spent with cats is never wasted." And I thought that was a cute little play on words, because she's got like cat ears on. So is she a cat? Maybe. I don't know. It was what was. And then this strut your stuff I'm going to put here, and I'm going to move around, and essentially it's just going to come off because it just doesn't work. This dreamer I thought was kind of cute, but it's not working. And I'm like, I don't know. So I did pull out some of these bits. One of them is going to go on here. The flower, I feel like, is getting lost. The dreamer's getting lost. The tie around the two cats, I don't know if it really makes sense. So I'm like, oh well. What else? What else? I want more stuff. So I'm thinking, I'm like, just trying different things. That might have worked okay. Nope. I'm going to go back into the, I think it's the kaleidoscope here in a second. But I am going to use these purple Kip Kip Club letters. They're like a lighter purple. So they're going to go over here on the dark purple. And my title is going to be Cat-Eared Music, because why not? Is it literal? 100%, but why not? And it pulls in why there's a cat on there. I don't always have to have everything on my layouts make sense for why I put it on there, but most of the time I do. And so, like, the cats make sense because Evie's got cat ears on, but I don't know if I could, like, the Strut Your Stuff one, I wouldn't have a problem putting on a different layout of one of the kids if they were, like, looking like they were strutting their stuff, I guess. But, yeah. And then this circle one I just put on says, put aside your fears and dreams. And that purple is the same purple as below, so I thought that was cute. That orange piece says, believe in yourself. And then it is pulling in a little bit of the pink, but I put that pink for those hearts on, so I thought, why not? There's pink in her headphones as well, so it ties a little bit of that in. And the alarm clock and the tag and the purple flower. I think the purple flower comes up here right away. There we go. That orange circle was the believe in yourself. And I think that's about what I'm going to put on here. And this, like, the star is going to go across the picture. And then all of this I'm actually happy with. The notebook says something about Happy New Year's, so it's going to sneak underneath because she is coloring, so I thought the notebook would work. But we don't need to see the Happy New Year's, so it tucks well, and yay. This piece says hello, so I thought that was cute. And then I'm just using a masking tape, like a craft masking tape, to pull these up. So they're in a spot that I'm happy with. Put a little bit of glue on, just move them around a little bit. This heart I thought was cute. It's got the colors in of the layout, and I thought it looked like kind of like a ball of yarn that a cat would play with. And a little bit of foam underneath that embellishment and the star so that they don't get bent over when they're in a page protector with the weight of that. And that is the layout. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you watching my whole layout. Here are the still shots. This is part of the counterfeit kit, so I'll have the blog down below, and it is part of my how to kit with style, which is that purple paper and the hobby theme, and I will have that linked as well. Thank you so much for being here today. If you're new here, I would love it if you subscribed, liked, and commented. Thank you. Have yourself a wonderful day.